guys, so I'm sure most of you thought this video was never coming, but today I'm finally doing part 4 of my natural hamster cage series. If you've been on my channel for about a year or so, you saw the first 3 parts of me building this hamster cage you see behind me. Like I said, this is a 4-part series, and back in July of 2019, I finished part 3. I mentioned that stuff was going a little wild and it might be a couple weeks until you see part 4, and 11 months later, here we finally are with part 4. Before I try to explain myself and show you guys the cage, like the rest of the series, I want to give a huge thank you to Carefresh, because even though this video is like 11 months late, Carefresh has sponsored this entire series and made this cage completely possible. Carefresh is a big supporter of my channel, so if you guys want to support them, that would be great too. As you guys know, Carefresh is one of my favorite beddings. There is some in this cage, but I just love Carefresh for the odor control and all the different color options. So I do use Carefresh a lot, and I know a lot of you do too. So if you do use Carefresh, make sure you click the link down in my description, and you can sign up for Club Carefresh, where they send you coupons and other exclusive emails. There will also be another link down in the description for Carefresh Gives Back. This is something really cool that Carefresh has been doing, where every 2 months they pick a new organization where they donate bedding to. So if you know of a small pet rescue that really needs some help and some bedding, you can nominate them on Carefresh Gives Back. Once again, the link to both of those will be down in the description. Carefresh, thank you so much for sponsoring this video and waiting 11 months for it. So now I just want to get into a little bit of the reason why it took me 11 months to make this video. So if you guys watched part 3, if you haven't watched them in a while, I might recommend going back and watching those first, just so you're not completely confused. But if you watch part 3, I mentioned that it might be a couple weeks before I was able to do part 4, which is the complete cage tour, and I was going to be moving my dwarf hamster Gerg into this cage. But I mentioned it might be a couple weeks because unfortunately Gerg was battling some mites, and of course I didn't want to move him into a fresh new cage before he was completely clear of his mites. Unfortunately, the first mite treatment he was on wasn't that successful, so I did end up taking him to a second vet for another opinion, and I got him on Revolution, which is another mite treatment. And I was very happy to say, as soon as he got on Revolution, he started improving pretty quickly. His mites were clearing up, his hair was starting to grow back, and then he did just suddenly pass away. I'm not really sure what caused it. I feel like he probably had an underlying health condition, because generally in a normal healthy hamster, mites aren't going to be able to fester up like that. Most hamsters have an amount of mites on them, but a healthy immune system is able to fight those off. And since he did have mites, and I also adopted him from PetSmart, and he was up for adoption because he did have a different type of skin irritation then, and he had to be separated from the hamsters. So he did have some type of irritation going on twice in his short life, which makes me believe he had an underlying health condition, which is why he probably suddenly passed away. But after Gerg passed away, there was no way I could go on and just show you guys this cage right away, and I didn't want to get a new hamster just for the cage or anything. A lot of times when a hamster passes, I do get a new one pretty soon, but that just wasn't the case this time. I still don't have a hamster in here, but I felt that now was the perfect time to finally do part 4 and show you guys this completed cage, because it may be changing. I'm not going to give too much away. I will tell you guys a little bit more at the very end of this video. I've been talking for way too long, but this is part 4 of the cage series, so this will be the final video for this series. I know you guys really enjoyed the first 3 parts, so hopefully you guys enjoy this part too, even though it's a little delayed. If you haven't watched the first 3 parts, they will be linked down in the description, because I'm not going to tell you exactly where I bought everything in this video, because all of that is shown in video. I think it's 2 is my haul. Some of these items you don't really find in the US much, so I know I'll be getting questions of where I got them. Go in the description, make sure you watch part 2 of this video, and it will tell you everything you need to know. I believe I even linked some of these products in that video. But for now, let's go ahead and finally, after almost a year, take a look at the completed natural hamster cage. So here is finally the big overview reveal of the natural hamster cage. Like I mentioned, I'm not going to be going over everything in super detail in this video because you can see it in the previous parts. But just to make the big things clear, I'm sure most of you know, but this is an Ikea Detolf bookshelf, which of course is from Ikea. And then you just lay it back on its side, and then it has the shelf underneath with all the storage. I don't have that storage organized yet, but once I do, I'll probably make a video about it. But then up at the top of the cage, These are just lids that my parents actually made. If you watch part 3, you know that we tried to make them here and I picked out the wrong wood, so they had to take them home. So my parents made these for me. They are just some white pine, I believe, with some hardware mesh. And then I did screw on these handles so they're easier to lift off. I might end up putting handles on that side too, so I can do like a two-handed lift. But for now, they're really easy just to pull up like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these lids off, and then we'll take a closer look at all what's inside. So starting over here on the left-hand side, this is where the deeper bedding is for burrowing. It goes up about halfway in the cage. I'm not sure exactly how many inches that is. I would say probably about 8 or 9 inches in the deepest spots. And then over here is the multi-chamber little hide. So hamster just has plenty of spaces to hide in here. Like I said, all of these products are linked in part 2 because I know a ton of people right now are probably getting ready to leave a comment asking where I got that. So check out part 2 if you want to get one of these. The bedding in this section is just a mixture of white Carefresh for softness and then a little bit of meadow hay. I found that hamsters really like hay. It helps hold their burrows. And then if you go over to the right a little bit, there is a section of aspen, so the hamster would have plenty of different natural beddings to choose from. Moving back over here, there's a little grassy tunnel and then a little natural chew, which is just a pine cone. And then there are some oat sprays and some wheat sprays throughout the cage. Here's a big area of the sprays right here and another pine cone. Moving up here, another pine cone, and then this cork round, which I buried partway in the substrate. So it can just be used as a hide or it can be used to a start of an underground tunnel system. But once again, all natural materials, and cork is a really good option for hamsters. So this half of the cage is the burrowing area with plenty of bedding, and then the other half doesn't have as much bedding. This is just, I believe this is repta soil. Like I said, it was like a year ago, and then sand over here. And then to separate all these sections, I have bendy bridges. If this cage wasn't going to be getting switched up soon, I would put something over the top of these bendy bridges. If you put bridges up on the end like this, you want to make sure you put something over the top. Like this crack right here, a little hamster foot could definitely get caught in there. So you want to make sure it is safe, like maybe with some larger stones or something. But since I'm switching things up, I didn't do that. But there is a little bendy bridge that helps them get down to this level, along with another piece of cork. This is just a cork flat that the hamster could also use as a little bridge. And then between the soil and the sand, there is just a smaller thing of bendy bridges and also this really cool piece of grapevine. And then last over here is the sand section. So this is a pretty large sand section. It's bigger than just a normal sand bath. It is about a quarter of the cage, but there's just a little wooden tunnel over here and then the wooden hamster wheel, which once again, a link to that I believe is in the description of my second part of this series. But yeah, that is an overview of the completed cage. I'm pretty sure I added some of this stuff after part 3 because it was looking a little empty. I'm pretty sure I added this tunnel after you saw it last and that tunnel. But I really like this cage. I've never used an all natural cage before. I've never built one. So I was very happy with the way it turned out. But that is just a little overview of the completed natural hamster cage. So that was the completed natural hamster cage. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was a long time coming. Like I mentioned, the water bottle isn't in there yet. I do have it here ready to go in. And the reason I haven't put it in is because I'm not sure exactly where I want to put it, because the next time you guys see this cage, which will probably be very soon, it's going to look a whole lot different. I'm not going to give too much away in this video because of course I want to make you guys come back for the next one, but this cage is going to look nothing like this the next time you see it. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be kind of sad about it. I am too, but it's for a good reason. I promise the good will outweigh the bad on why I'm changing everything up. But I hope you guys enjoyed finally seeing this cage. Once again, thank you to Carefresh for sponsoring this series. Make sure you check out their links down in the description. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.